Hey Texas bassists, I'm going to share some tips for learning this year's TMEA Etudes. I've also made a packet with practice exercises and some fingerings that you can access through my website, so make sure you check that out also. We'll start by looking at Libon number 8. And with any audition piece, I always ask why. Why are they asking this? What skills can we show here in our playing? This one is definitely about left-hand dexterity. There's a lot to do with bow control through those long runs in the slurs, and also showing articulation differences between the separate and the slurred notes. And I have a lot of bow practice in that packet that I mentioned. And of course, with any etude, it's about making it musical. Even though this was written to be a study and for learning purposes, we can play it like a true solo and give a performance that shows our musical creativity. So I'm going to share the very beginning, this opening line. We want to set the tone with a full sound that leaves room for the diminuendo towards the end, and also play dolce, so sweetly. So here's that first line. Moving on in this etude, we'll look at two passages and I'll share fingering ideas for each one. So we'll start out with measures 14 through 18. I have two ideas for fingerings of this passage, one that's predominantly in thumb position and one that's not. And both of them use a technique called barring, where we use one finger going across two strings at the same time. So in the thumb position fingering, this will be the thumb going across the D and G harmonics. And in the other version, it'll be second finger across those same harmonics. So here's the thumb position version of the fingering, and I'll play it a little bit under tempo. And now here's the other version. Finally, we'll take a look at measures 61 to 63. Once again, I have two ideas for fingerings for this passage. The first one spends more time in thumb position, the second one spends less. So here's the thumb position version. And now here's the other version. We're going to keep moving with the Storch-Hrabe number 23. Once again, I want to ask, why was this etude chosen? And this one is in a much more lyrical style than the other etude, so it shows off a different side of your playing. And this is really demonstrated through that first line, so I'm going to play that to start out. This etude also requires you to navigate the higher register of the instrument a little bit more than the other one. So choose fingerings that are really comfortable to you, that you can execute well in an audition setting. I'm going to demonstrate a lot of thumb position for this one, but I've written out other options so you can try out multiple things and see what feels best. There's one technique in thumb position that I like to use a lot that might look a little more advanced, but it's really pretty straightforward, and this is called a fork. So this is when we use two fingers right next to each other on different strings, so it looks like prongs of a fork holding the strings down. So this could be thumb on the D, first finger E on the D string, second finger A right next to it, and then thumb again on the G. So just try walking through that to try it out before you try it in the actual piece. And now the first place that I use this is in measure 8. So I'm going to play the pick up to measure 8 through measure 9 to show this in a little bit under tempo again. fingering idea is from the pickup to measure 11 into measure 15. Keep an eye out in measure 13. I use that fork technique again. Now in this etude, I'm going to finish off by playing measure 30 all the way to the end because this part uses a lot of thumb position, again, just as an option. I'm going to play this under tempo, so I am going to break a few of the bowings to keep the bow working well. So here's measure 30 to the end.